All right, fam, back for another video. I like doing these videos, and I appreciate the feedback. This is going to be kind of a crazy video. Something a little bit nuts. People think that I'm crazy for doing what I did, and there's a little bit of preface to this to give everybody some context. I'm the idiot that when armaments first came out in the game, okay, first came out in this game, I'm the guy that pulled a special inscription the very first week, and I pulled this guy right here. Let me just show it to you. And I got this fearless with the counter, and I literally, I was like, what do I do with this? Where do I go with this? First week the game came out, and I'm a Cav main. For people who don't know, I've got a bunch of infantry stuff too, but I mainly specialize on the Cav side. And everybody gave me the advice that, like, dude, you got to go all arch now, because I pulled this like off the travels, like the first week. It was dumb. And so what happened was I started pulling arch, and I will tell you, for 2 straight years, I pulled arch daily bundles and the weekly kind of armament, big bundle that came out every other week, right? And I would do that, and every event, I just was purely arch. And what happened was I'll be real frank with you. I got my ass kicked in the field a lot. I got my tail kicked in canyon a lot just because everybody was doing wedge. And I'm just sitting here on all this arch stuff for cavalry, for infantry, for everything. My infantry's the same way. I mean, this is what I run in Canyon, but here's my main imp set. I got to work on these stats. But I collected so much arch stuff, and I felt like a fool until the gods of rock shined down and said, we're gonna make Smite commanders. Smite's a type of damage that's enhanced by normal attack, and I'm like, G freaking G, let's go. I got all that. I got all the Smite you want. And so I finished. Basically, my goal was to say, okay, I need 2 sets. I need a cavalry set because I love the cavalry set, and I'll explain kind of the Attila side of things. And then I'm gonna go ahead and finish up and get the infantry set, which is basically what I've done here. And then from there, I've started on some wedge stuff, just picked up those along the way, and so my wedge stuff's pretty good. And I got some wedge stuff going on over here with my archers. And so from that standpoint, I was like, okay, we're getting into KVK, and now that our CPO Emilius has come out, he's a good rally, right? Only lasted a few minutes because the game does what they always do and put out an archer, garrison commander that kind of counters him. But for the most part, in the field, I'm like, okay, I have all these arch sets, like so many freaking arch sets. Like, what do I do here? And I used to get made fun of all the time because I would literally have my I wouldn't run Attila in the field. I would have my meta arch cavalry set on Nevsky. People were just like, what are you doing? And I'm just a big idiot and I don't care. So whatever. But let me find this dude. Let's see. Give me the infantry. Here we go. But this guy, I was like, hey, he's doing so much smite damage. So much. And the debuff of the target taking 20% more damage total. This doesn't matter if he's in a rally or in a field. I was like, okay, what if we ran this guy in the field? He's got some march speed, love the health, and that's nothing. The march speed has nothing to do with the rally, but the health does. So you kind of miss out on that health if you run him in the field, which kind of sucks. But you're getting normal damage boost is great. He's got a 30% chance to dispel. Some of the different silence effects that come out. So he can do that more for health and defense debuffs, right? So that's kind of cool. Okay, so he's got his kit's really good, to be honest. It's just that you miss out on some of the skills when he's in the field. Okay, but that's not the point of what I'm trying to get to. I just take his damage, right? Because in the previous video that I had with Ragnar and kind of how he's going to be retiring Guan for a lot of people, I look at it and I'm just like, hey, what is the best way to run your field? What are the biggest attributes? And I rank them in this order. And the top three are extremely important, and they're pretty close. Damage, march speed, and tankiness. Those are the three things you got to have. You got to lay down as much damage as possible. You got to be as fast as possible, and you got to be somewhat tanky. If you do get focused, can you survive? Or can you make it prickly enough to where you're just not taking the worst trades ever? And I kept thinking about this, and naturally and inherently, Smite commanders are going to have normal damage boosts within their skills. So that naturally gives them some prickliness, right? That naturally gives them some counter attack if they get focused. And so, those all kind of cover the bases. The beauty, obviously, with infantry is that when you run 4-piece sets, you're going to get the 10% march speed, right? On the 4-piece set, which is great. Okay. If you can get your boots to level 4 and level 5, that more march speed, just dump the march speed in there. So just between the tier 5 reward on boots and between the 4-piece set, you can add 23% march speed to your infantry march. Any infantry march, it doesn't matter. And so with that being said, you got multiple options. And I was like, okay, well, I'm getting into KVK. We're going against 2934, and they were really, really good in the field. And I mentioned it in my previous videos. I was having such a tough time running my Boudica Ash second Archer March. So I just benched it. And part of the reason why I benched it is because, I run this city skin here, 12% attack, and it gives me Archer defense reduction. Okay. If I run 3 infantry and 3 cavalry and 1 archer, I'm maximizing the stats that I can get. Just straight maximizing it. And so when I look at that, I'm like, okay, it makes sense because I always run 3 calves, no matter what. Even if my third cav is XY Justinian, whatever, I always run 3 calves. I've got three sets for calves that are kind of off the charts. I've just got some stuff just playing around here, and then for cavalry, I have 2 really good wedge sets, and then I've got that meta arch set. And so I've got so many armaments, I can run just about anything. And so I went 3 calves and 3 infantry. Now here's what I did, and people think I'm nuts, okay? I decided, hey, I'm going all Smite. I'm going to see what this does. I'm going to go all Smite. So I would run the Guan CPO for my first infantry march. Skill damage march, and ran it with my wedge that I've got for infantry, which is not great, but it's not awful. And then I went full Smite for my other 2 infantry marches. And honestly, the marches that I chose were Gorgo with Liu Che. Gorgo gives 2,300 damage, huge. She's got a low rage timer on 900 rage requirements. And then Liu Che would help because, he'll run those basic attacks up with his expertise, and it's like a rage load, right? Because when you run this expertise up and this thing hits and you get an additional basic attack worth of rage, I mean, that's fantastic. And so that thing would fire off pretty quick. Well, Gorgo does the 2,300 damage factor, which is really good, single target, right? I wish it was AoE, but it's single target. But she's going to boost the normal damage, okay? She's going to boost the normal damage for 3 seconds, which is great. You're going to just boost Liu Che's skill damage or smite damage. And then from there, I ran William Wallace, okay? And I got the smite tree there, great. Huge damage he does, 3 targets, that's great. And then he also does a little bit of extra damage. And so I ran him with CPO Emilius, and everybody was like, what are you doing? And so that's what I ran with this cat. So running William Wallace with this dude, you're laying down, I'm just looking at numbers, and you're laying down so much freaking smite damage, so much damage that it's like insane. Now between my two Smite marches, I've got Liu Che that's AoE, and I've got William Wallace that's AoE, and then I have Gorgo that's single target, and then I have CPO Emilianus, whatever, that's single target. And I'm like, okay, let's just see what this does. So I ran those two Smite marches. And for the cavalry, I stuck to pretty much, what everybody does with cavalry. But I love Belly Prime, love them. So I ran Huo with Belly Prime, and I ran Nevsky Joan. Okay, I think you can mix and match however you want to. You can incorporate, William if you want to. If you don't have Belly Prime, you got 4 amazing cab commanders that you can do whatever you want to do with. Crazy skill damage, high damage. Even if it's single target, it's super high damage. And I think I even ran Huo with Nevsky just because that damage for a single target is so good. It's just off the charts. And then I think I put Belly Prime behind Joan to kind of keep him in the fight, because you want this cat lasting as long as possible, right? With his expertise, you want this lasting, you want him being the last one that's being killed, because he's going to give you the all damage that really, really helps when you're running 5, 6, 7 marches. So then my third cavalry march, I've got 2 good wedge armaments, and then I've got this thing. and it's blasphemous. Some of the guys I know in the game are just like, I can't believe, Chad, we sit here and giggle at you because you run your arch formation on Nevsky. It doesn't make any sense. And honestly, it really doesn't. When you go to this one and you get straight to the point, this thing is great, and but it's going to mitigate your skill damage. So why would you ever run that? Well, I've got other stuff that I'll run. I'll probably take that one out if I put it on a skill damage type march. I can run this stuff. I've got this one that's great. So I got other things I can run this straight to the point to where it just straight mitigates your skill damage. Okay. But I was like, I'm going all in on Smite. I'm going all in on normal attack damage. I'm running Greatest Glories. I'm running rings. I got Greatest Glory to tier 5. I've got my rings and my horns and everything. I'm hammering as much damage as I can from my infantry. And then I was like, to hell with this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run Takeda with Attila as my third cab march. And I haven't done this in years, right? Nobody runs an AT in the field anymore. Well, I decide I'm going to go run it, okay? And here's why. And here's what it does, okay? You got this burn effect that Attila does, okay? Whenever a burn troop is hit with a basic attack, there's a 50% chance it will take 50% more normal damage, okay? So people that understand what normal damage is, Smite, all the things. Smite, it's great. And that's that the target hits that. Okay, so, and it only lasts for 1 second. So it's, it hits real quick and then it's gone, but it only has a 2-second cooldown. Well, what I found out is that when the burn effect is sitting on the target, this thing would fire off about once every 4 to 5 seconds. And I was like, okay, well, just law of averages here. If I have 4 commanders, 2 infantry marches with 4 commanders of heavy Smite, okay, what are the odds that those commanders are firing off when the burn effect is in effect? When burn is in effect, what are the chances that those Smite commanders are firing off? And it's really high. The chances are really, really high because you got 4 commanders. Okay, Gorgo has a 1-second delay on her skill, right? And so if Gorgo has a 1-second delay on her skill, she goes, and then Liu Che, who's behind her, immediately goes right after her. So you got 2 seconds there in a row that you're laying down massive Smite damage. 2,300 in single target, and then of course Liu Che's 2,000, however much it is, 2,250 to 5 targets. So you have that. Then you run William Wallace with SA, and you're laying 2,400 damage down. And then this is the kicker. When this dude fires off at 2,700 single target, it is awesome. So what happened was I would run AT, and Attila Takeda with my arch set is always going to trade positive in the field. Now, he's not going to do crazy damage like he used to back 4 years ago, but in the field, he's always going to trade well. And with my arch stuff, if anybody hits this guy, anybody that knows me or that's played against any kingdom I've been in or has been in any kingdom I'm in, when I put this setup on counter rallies and artifact KVKs for rallies or garrisons, you do not want to touch it. I have gotten more field deads. I love, one of my favorite things to do is running counter rallies with my Attila Takeda. And just, especially if we have a Gorgo in the garrison, I'll counter rally it with Takeda. And people are like, you're just doing that for counterattack. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm doing it so Takeda runs his burn effect, because if that burn effect fires off when Gorgo in the garrison hits her smite, it wrecks things. It's going to wreck it. I mean, it is like a nuclear bomb goes off. So, but anybody that knows me, that knows that I run those types of rallies, you touch my Attila, you're going to take deads, especially anything that's a counter rally with 3 million troops or a fort or a pass. Anything with 3 million troops, it's deadly. It is absolutely deadly. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to run AT in the field. And I did. And what the burn effect did, I would go back through and look and see how often. And about half the time the burn effect fires, one of my smite commanders is firing off their smite. And it's a 50% normal damage taken to the target. It's a debuff to the target. And so when you run this thing, this is what's so crazy about this. There's a 50% chance when you have the burn effect on, there's a 50% chance it takes 50% more normal damage. I don't think people realize that. That's like an instant 1 second, Tommy stack of 50% skill damage taken, like instantly. And if you can time out your smite damage commanders, and if you run 4 of them, that's why I ran 4 of them, is that you're just firing off smite one after another. And it's not just BS smite, it's like heavy smite. It's 2,000 or more. It's 2,250 with Liu Che. It's 2,400 with William Wallace. It's 2,300 with Gorgo. It's 2,700 with CPO Emilianus. I mean, when you can get that thing to fire while Takeda's hitting the target and gets this, it's like a nuclear bomb goes off. You'll see a red number that you're like, where did that come from? And so that's part of the reason why I did it. I don't advise everybody to do it. But if you're like I am and you've gone all in on arch stuff and you're like, hey, I have 2 crazy good arch formation, infantry sets. My second, let me see if I've got it here. No, it's over here. I gotta redo this a little bit, but like this is my second infantry arch set. And let me just go ahead and attach it. Let me just show you what I've got for my second. This is my second infantry arch set. Well, that's my first. But I've got this thing right here, tons of stats. I've got assertive 2% all damage. That's great. I got to re-roll that at some point. So I just have crazy stuff. And so my second arch set is awesome. So I'll go put that on my second smite march and go to town. And it was just a weird, unique way to do it. So people who if you have maybe some arch stuff for cavalry and you've run Attila Takeda in the past and you're like, hey, I run 2 cavalry or I run 3 cavalry. You want to go run some smite commanders, Takeda is sneaky with his burn effect. And that's something I did. People think I'm crazy, and I am. And I don't know how much more effective it was than the other, 7 march setup I would do with 3 skill damage cavalry. But part of the reason why I did it is because I was just sick of my 3rd cavalry march just getting melted, because I'd run XY and I'd put like Justinian behind him, or I'd put William behind him because I was running Belly Prime with my other 2, and it just get murdered. Anybody see XY on the field, they're gonna kill the thing. So I would run this AT, I'd take the burn effect, and if I'm running 2 marches of smite commanders, that's 4 smite commanders laying down serious damage, and the synergies are there, and it's like they feed each other. And plus, I had to get Boudica off the field. She's ramping up skill damage. Well, I'm running 2 marches of full smite and then running an AT. Like, there's no skill damage going on with any of that. And so it's fun to play the game that way because there's interesting ways for the game to kind of give you different aspects of smite and skill damage. You can kind of choose and how you want to model some things. But that's one of the things that came out. So anybody that's been around me, that's played against me, played with me, that you guys flat out know that I have so much arch stuff. This is my 3rd arch set for infantry. It's got stuff like this on it. I mean, it's just dumb. It's like, what are you doing, Chatsky? Why did you do so much arch? And so it wasn't good for a long time. For a long time, like I said, I got my tail kicked in the field. My skill damage was killing me. And I'm not saying I got my tail kicked. I just didn't trade as well as I should have because everybody else is running wedge and everybody's getting a hunter inscription. And everybody's getting all this stuff. And I was running like no wedge for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then all of a sudden Smite came out. And then all of a sudden the artifact came out. And I run Attila with Liu Che in the artifact and just come get some. It's the best march in the game. My Attila Liu Che, with all this stuff and the gear I have, it is the best field march in the game. And everything that it does, everything that it is, how prickly it is, how tanky it is, how much damage it does, it is so wild. And so since the game gave us Smite commanders on infantry, since they gave us, some different synergies with different things in Attila, and with the artifact now that I can go put on Attila and have some other commander run with Attila. I love doing it. Some of you infantry players know, like, you got a great arch set for Liu Che. Well, you'll just pull Attila over and put the artifact on Attila and run him as an infantry march, and it's great. Liu Che Attila is great, and so the game has made it fun, and it's made it a little bit more balanced for me to really be effective in some of the things that I'm able to do as a rally, as a garrison, as a field player, when I've concentrated arch formation for so long. So that was kind of the explanation. A lot of people ask me about that, like, what is this Takeda stuff you're doing? Like, are you crazy? Yeah, I am. I'm just an idiot. But I'm the guy that'll go test that. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, who the hell cares? But if it does work, hey, I can make a video about it and tell everybody about it. So with that being said, a couple of videos now I've dropped on the channel. If you like it, subscribe, like the video. Help me out here a little bit. I'm just jacking around and having fun. And again, I'm not the content creator that's going to go do all the things. And really, this isn't like some business I'm trying to go do. But I always come up with these weird, interesting takes, and I always try to come up with different ideas. I love that kind of stuff, to try to think outside the box. And a lot of times, and there'll be another video I come out with that I will tell you what the greatest garrison ever in this game is. And it's still true to today. And it's Attila Gorgo. And it's specifically my Attila Gorgo. It is absolutely undefeated. And so we'll save that video for another time. I've got the receipts for it. I've got the reports to back it up. And we faced the absolute best, top-notch kind of kingdoms. And I've fought against the best players and the best kingdoms. And this particular garrison did so well. And I'll go more in depth with that in another video. But if you like the video, like and subscribe. Hang out with me. And any questions you got, guys, you know me. I'm happy-go-lucky. I'll reply to anything. I'll talk to anybody. I'll help anybody. And we'll just keep it rolling.